What's up guys, welcome back to a new video. Today is going to be a little bit different. It's not going to be a tutorial video per se, but it's going to be an introduction to the Getting Started in Cybersecurity article that I've recently put together on the website. This article took me more weeks or several weeks to complete. I wanted to create a guide for you guys because you always ask me, how do I get started in cybersecurity? What do I need to do? What did you do? So I thought I put together a whole article, or you can call it a curriculum on getting started in cybersecurity, and I already put it out there a couple of weeks ago and shared it on Instagram, and I got really positive feedback on it. And I just wanted to go over the article with you together and explain to you what the contents of the article are, and that you can use it as a guide and you can come back to it, because I will continuously update this article with new tutorials. That's what I wrote. I really highly recommend you read it. Just go to cosec.com and go to it's under featured articles, Getting Started in Cybersecurity in 2019. Of course, I will put the link in the description as well, so you can directly access that. But let us quickly go over the article together so I can explain to you how it's put together and what is behind it. Alright, so first I have a short introduction to why I created this article, and here is written that I will create tutorial series revolving around this topic and link them in this article, and that's what I will do. As we speak, I'm working on the Nmap tutorial series, which will all be linked in this article. So what you should do is you should open this article and just add it to your favorites right there, and then go back to it regularly and see if content was added. But even with the article as it is now, you can start learning how to get started or getting started in cybersecurity already, because the resources are there. I already linked a lot of stuff, and everything in this article, except it's specifically marked as not free, is free. If I add some, I think there is no paid stuff in there. The only stuff I would add that would be paid would be basically like if I find a really good Udemy course or a certificate that I find worth doing. But in general, the whole point of it is that you can learn cybersecurity for free on your own terms, basically. Okay, so let's go through the article real quick. Important stuff is printed in fat, of course. Make sure to read all this. And one of the most important things in cybersecurity is learn how to Google, or in IT really. That's basically a no-brainer. And also, if you like this article, please do me the big favor and whitelist me on your ad blocker, because that's my only stream of revenue that I have. And I don't want to bombard you with intrusive ads, so please consider whitelisting me on your ad block. It would really help me out. And of course, visit my donations page if this actually helps you getting started in cybersecurity. It would be great. I would highly appreciate it. Okay, let's go. More down. Why getting started in cybersecurity? Here I put together what is the reason of why would you actually start or want to start a career in cybersecurity, and a few key points are the high demand for security professionals everywhere. That is at the moment very present and a very hot topic. Then, of course, it's fun. It's a fun field to work in, and you can hack things without getting in jail, basically, if you work in the right sector, which is penetration testing would be one example, or white hat hacking, ethical hacking, whatever you want to call it. And you can feed your technological curiosity with bleeding edge technology. That's obviously too. That's a given too. And then you can solve problems. If you like solving problems, if you like puzzles, working in cybersecurity, that's pretty much what you do the whole day. You're solving problems, solving puzzles, basically. You try to break into systems, you try to crack passwords, you try to crack passphrases, whatever. Stuff like this. Then the satisfaction you get by breaking into a system successfully, that's a big one for me personally. I really enjoy if I manage to outsmart somebody and basically get access to a system somebody thought he would have secured properly, but obviously he did not. That's really nice. And of course, the competitive salary. Now let me only go over the bullet points here. I highly recommend, as I said, read the article yourself. I will not read you all of this stuff here. Let's continue on. And when you should not get started in cybersecurity is the next point, and this should be taken into consideration for each and every one of you. Really think of this. If you don't like failing, if you can't deal with stress, you don't like learning new stuff, or you are scared of breaking things, cybersecurity or working in cybersecurity or offensive security is not for you, because you will fail all the time. You need to learn every single day. You will be confronted with new technologies that you will need to try to understand so you can break it. And to actually break things, obviously you really need to understand them on a high level. So you really need to do learning all the time. So if this is you, don't even consider getting started, because you will not get very far. How did I get started in cybersecurity? This is another very popular question that people ask me all the time. And now let me put one thing straight. I'm by no stretch of the word an expert in the field. There are much more experienced people out there than me, but I can tell you, everything I know came for me through self-learning and just grinding. I have a hard time learning stuff and concentrating myself. So all I learned so far came with a lot of effort, and it is a lot of effort. And here I just put together a few things. It's basically my my curriculum vitae, or whatever you want to call it. Basically my work history, how I started at a young age with fiddling with computers, gaming, stuff like this, and working in first level support. I had a long break in there. I self-study certificates. I did self-study for certificates to get my game up to speed later on. Then I started COSEC.com, and I started working as a system administrator. Then I started to work as a CTO and stuff like this. I got PFSEN certified. Just read through it if you're interested in that. And there's more on how I got started and how I got more interested. Just read it if you want to. Then comes the curriculum, or what I recommend to learn. And this is a tough one because it's a little bit different for every one of you. Every one of you has basically different background. You have different knowledge that you already have. Some people already know Linux, some don't. Some know Windows servers, some don't. You get the idea. It depends on where you come from and how deep you need to go, but obviously the first thing you need to learn are basic computer skills. What I mean with basic computer skills is simply learn what parts a computer consists of, how they work together, learn what is BIOS, learn what UEFI is, learn how to create a bootable USB drive. And here you can already see all those links usually lead to tutorials that either I or somebody else has created already for you to directly dive in and start learning how to do things. So learn how to create a bootable USB drive, essential for stuff like installing operating systems or even booting live Linux distributions like Kali Portable or something like this. Learn how to boot from a USB drive. That's also what is the next part of this, basically. Learn how to install Windows 10. You should be very, very comfortable with formatting your computer, with installing different OSs on it. It's not that important anymore now, where we have virtualization, which is the next point we will talk of. But you should know, you should not be scared of breaking things and, oh my god, my Windows is broken and I cannot get it to boot anymore. If you have struggled with this, learn it. You will break things, you will need to reinstall, reinstall. You should get to a point where you are not scared of reinstalling Windows anymore. For me, I don't care if my Windows dies, I have everything backed up. I will just swipe it clean and install it from the beginning again, so I have a fast and performant computer again. So make sure you learn this stuff. Next, virtualization, and this is a very big one because this is what you will be working with all the time. You need to learn about VirtualBox, you need to learn how to install Linux on VirtualBox, and you need to learn what snapshots are and how to use them. So in all of my tutorials, I use VirtualBox. So get familiar with it, read through all of this, and make sure you understand what virtualization is. Read this article, get a basic concept of it. VirtualBox is really easy to use, don't be scared of it. I have tutorials up there to install any pen testing distribution on VirtualBox, step by step, beginner friendly. Just look up my YouTube channel, look up the website, there are articles. Just search for install Kali on VirtualBox, install ParrotSec on VirtualBox, stuff like this. I have it all there. Next is Linux. Every single cybersecurity or hacking distribution is based on Linux. That's simply how it is. You won't be doing any penetration testing using Windows. You won't work in cybersecurity, at least not seriously, using Windows. You need to get very comfortable with Linux. Start with running Linux on VirtualBox. That's the obvious thing. Start to outsource tasks that you do in Windows, like managing documents or whatever. Start to do them on Linux. Start to do everything what you can on Linux. Understand how the file system works. Follow my Instagram account. I'll just open that up real quick and show you what that is. That's daily.linux.tips. It's a very... I have 200 posts already. And all it is either hacking tips in small portions. Let me get down to Linux. You see there is a lot, and I'll continually update that. For example, this. Just scroll all the way down to the bottom where it starts with. Come on, let's quickly do it. You can see I have a lot of posts there. This is a fun side project of mine, but look at this. How to list folders in Linux. Every day you will get a tip like this. Later on, it will be more advanced stuff like hacking tips, but you get every day a little primer on Linux commands, and I recommend you trying them out yourself. Okay, enough self-promotion on that part. Let's go back up where we are. And you can see it's instagram.com/daily.linux.tips. Subscribe or just simply follow me here, and you will get the new posts every other day. I don't post daily anymore, but every other day. So back to Linux. Learn what Linux is. Learn how to install Linux on VirtualBox, like I mentioned previously. Learn basic Linux syntax. Go to this Instagram account. It's linked here in the article, as you can see as well. Use either Ubuntu or Linux Mint to start playing with Linux. I really like Linux Mint because in my opinion, it's the closest operating system to Windows, and I even use it for system administration on a daily basis. It's a really nice OS, and you should definitely check that out as a first. I prefer it over Ubuntu for sure. It's also based on Debian, so if you ask, there is then the question, should I learn Debian-based systems first or should I learn Arch-based systems? As a beginner, don't learn Arch. Go with Debian-based systems, which are Linux Mint and Ubuntu. Because I don't want to say the majority of systems are Debian-based, but a lot of them are. And all the most popular pen testing distributions are also based on Debian. So Kali is based on Debian and Parrot OS is based on Debian. So you need to know Debian. Learn how to find out your IP address, obviously. Learn about the Linux file system. Learn how to create a user account. Learn about root. Learn about sudo. Learn about the apt package manager. And then I also have some book recommendations here, which are obviously affiliate links on Amazon. If you want to order those books, this book is really good. It's really nice, and this one is also nice, but it's a behemoth of a book. It's really, really big. If you want to order those books, please use my affiliate links. I would appreciate it. I get a small commission on it. And let's continue networking. Point 4. So knowing how networks work is an essential skill in cybersecurity. I should print that big because that's very important. Obviously, networking, you need to know how to navigate around networks, what switches are, what routers are, what hubs are, what components are usually on the network, how they communicate with each other, the TCP IP model, the OZ model, whatever. As I say here, learn about the most used network protocols. That's a big one because you will scan for those protocols when you do offensive security. Learn about the OZ model. Just learn basically what the OZ model is and what the different layers are, what they do, and what protocols are used on them. Learn what a switch is, learn what a router is, learn what a firewall is, important. That's the next point also here. Learn about TCP and UDP, learn about VLANs, learn about IP addresses, and finally, but very importantly, learn subnetting. Subnetting is a big one. You need to know. You should know what subnetting is, first of all, how subnetting works. Next is firewalls. Knowing how a firewall works is extremely important and beneficial if you are serious about getting started in cybersecurity, period. It's important. You need to know what a firewall is, how it works. What is the easiest way on learning how a firewall works is, simply put, run a firewall in your own network. What is the best firewall to run in your own network? You know that probably if you follow me for a while. pfSense is, in my opinion, the best and easiest. Okay, let's put the best aside. I don't want to start a war. In my opinion, it's the easiest firewall to get started with. I started with it a couple of years ago where I had no clue how a firewall works, and now I'm pfSense certified. I wrote a book on pfSense because I love it. It's a great firewall, and I have a lot of tutorials on my pfSense playlist on YouTube. If you don't know how to get started with pfSense, I have like idiot-proof beginner tutorials on how to install pfSense on VirtualBox, how to install pfSense on a physical device with video, with step-by-step everything. Just check it out. You eventually get the hang of it. In the beginning, it's a little bit tough to wrap your head around all the concepts of ports, NAT, port forwarding, whatever. But if you work with it on a daily basis and you figure stuff out and you play with it, basically, you get the hang of it eventually. Don't be scared by it, don't be intimidated by it. As I said, literally this book, which is also here in the sidebar, is a starter guide on pfSense. You can just click on that, it leads to Amazon. It takes you step by step through each and every step. If you really cannot afford the book, write me an email on info@ceos.com and I will send it to you. Eventually, if I read the email, I get so many emails, I do what I can, but if you really cannot afford the $7, and it's even in Kindle Unlimited, I think it's for free on Kindle Unlimited, yeah. But of course, I would appreciate if you buy it and support me. Okay, so pfSense, learn about firewall rules, learn about routing, learn about blocking and allowing traffic, learn about VLANs, learn how to control data in your own network, learn how to block certain devices from going out to the internet. That's a good exercise, especially if you use IoT devices. You should definitely block those things from going out to the internet. Learn how to do that. Learn about a little bit intrusion detection. That's a little bit more advanced topic there. Proxy servers, the same. Learn about network interfaces, and of course the book recommendation. My own book. I didn't read any other book on pfSense, so I cannot really recommend you stuff there. I can recommend you, of course, after my own YouTube channel, Mark Fourniaux or something's YouTube channel. He has a really good series on pfSense, also explaining in detail those things like DNS and how pfSense works. Okay, next thing, Windows Server and domain. Now this is a tough one because Windows servers, you need to know what a Windows server is, what a Windows domain is. Let's look at the bullet points, where is the most important stuff. Learn what a domain is, learn how domain authentication works, what a domain controller is, what LDAP is, what the Linux equivalent to a Microsoft Windows domain is, different Windows account roles like administrator, domain administrator, forest administrator, whatever. That being said, learn what a forest is, learn how Windows domains are structured, and learn about Windows Server best practices, which are always neglected by lazy sysadmins and are a good spot for you to put your exploits or put your scans to. The book recommendations, the book I recommend here is The Practice of System and Network Administration by Thomas A. Limoncelli and a couple of other people. Really good, really detailed book. It always gets recommended by Reddit. Please do order it over my website too. It's an Amazon affiliate link, would highly appreciate it. And let's continue. Next, installing your first Linux or security Linux distribution. You have a couple of choices there. The obvious choice, what probably all of you know and love, is Kali Linux. The second choice is Parrot OS. Both of them are based on Debian. And the third one is Black Arch, at least what I know of. There are probably hundreds of more, but those are the most popular ones. Black Arch is based, as it says in the word, on Arch Linux, so I don't recommend it for beginners. I do recommend for beginners the Parrot Security OS because it is the, I would say, out of the box, the most secure pen testing OS. It comes with a low privileged user. Kali comes with a root user. If you don't know what that means even, and you just want to install some penetration testing OS, but you have no idea what it actually is, use Parrot. It's more secure for you. If you really want to use Kali Linux, make sure to check out my article on, or there's also a YouTube video. I will link everything in the description below for you guys. Top things to do after installing Kali Linux and Parrot Security OS. The steps are basically the same for both OSs. If you install Kali, make sure you do the top things to do after installing Kali Linux, because one of the things we do there is creating a low privileged user account to make your system more secure. As you can see, I have tutorials linked here, how to install Kali Linux on VirtualBox, how to install Parrot Sec OS on a VirtualBox, and yeah, okay, that's that. So obviously make a good choice and choose either one of those two systems, whatever your preference is. Next step, over the wire. So over the wire is a place where you can practice your Linux skills, your basic Linux skills up to advanced Linux skills, I think even hacking skills. Let's put it up right there. And that's over the wire. You basically start at level 0, or no, you start at the introduction. You will read all of that. You start then at level 0, and the goal of this level is for you to log in to the game using SSH. And believe it or not, but I got countless emails on people who don't even know how to use SSH, and they cannot even establish a connection to over the wire. But that's a whole different topic. You should figure that's easy to figure out, right? You can establish a connection with those instructions. You should. And then you go through all of the levels, and there is always commands you may need to solve the level. It's that are basically hints. And if you are really stuck, I have let's go back here to the article. I covered level 0 till 15, but you find all the levels out there. You find all the solutions to all the levels out there. But if you do this, use your Google skills. Try to find the solution yourself. Don't look up the solution immediately, because if you do that, you will not learn. You think you learned, you think you have an aha moment, but that's actually not how it works. You didn't learn anything on it. Try as hard as you can yourself, and if you're really stuck, your brain is smoking, then look up the solution. Not before, because there's no point in doing it. You don't learn. There's a good book on that. I forget the name, something with some learning science book where this is specifically, there's a whole chapter on it. So, okay, next thing. This is really good to practice, so definitely make sure to do the over the wire. Your own laboratory, yeah. So there's sites like Hack the Box and stuff like this, but I don't recommend Hack the Box for beginners, because there are some quirks to it. I think, let me pull that up real quick. I just check if it's already released. Where are we? Oh, it's a video on YouTube, actually. I put a video there. Go to my YouTube channel. It's not linked in here yet. How to create your own free home lab, where I talk about, I need to take off those headphones, where I talk about VirtualBox and how to use VirtualBox to create a free home lab with your own hardware that you already own. On the other hand, of course, you can buy switches and stuff, but nowadays I think you are fine with VirtualBox and doing CTFs and stuff like this on VirtualBox, and later on, when you're a little bit more experienced, on Hack the Box or some other Hack Me sites. Good VMs to start with is Metasploitable 2 and Damn Vulnerable Web Applications. That's a good point to start. And yeah, that's the laboratory part. Let's go on to Capture the Flags, or short CTFs. So a Capture the Flag is an essential part of learning cybersecurity. At least it is for me. There's no better way to practice your skills than with a CTF or a vulnerable machine, and this is true. CTFs are basically a game. There is a vulnerable machine that was created by somebody, usually it's Linux, sometimes it's Windows, and there are either outdated software versions on it, outdated tool versions that are exploitable. Most of the times you need to find an exploit for this machine and find a flag. Those flags are mostly hidden, and sometimes they are directly in the root folder, so soon as you get access to the root account. There's also boot to roots, which only goal is to get root access to the machine and then you are done. But on some machines there are multiple flags hidden around the system, and the more you find, the higher your points are. And there are categories such as easy, intermediate, hard, or even exotic, which is very hard stuff. Definitely start with easy there. And the website where to download those VMs is listed here. Vulnhub is one, Hack-the-Box, and plenty of more. There is a whole list of hacking challenges that are listed here. Just make sure you read through all of this. And a good point to start is, as I said, it's linked here above. Damn it, where is it? This is the Metasploitable 2, then vulnerable web applications, and basic pen testing 1 and 2. Those are great beginner CTFs with really easy to exploit vulnerabilities there. Okay. Good, we covered this. Next part, essential tools. So you will learn a ton of skills just doing CTFs. Just try to always continuously work on a CTF all the time. Just always have something you work on. Ideally on a daily basis. I think cybersecurity is much like guitar playing. If you don't do it or practice it regularly, you will progress either very slow or you will just stagnate at some point. And so you always work on a vulnerable machine or a CTF. Always have a project where you train your skills, sharpen the blade, whatever you want to call it. Essential tools then is all tools that I personally use and that I found helpful and that are somewhat beginner friendly. Let's just quickly go through it and let's see what is there. So frameworks, very popular. Metasploit, a huge penetration testing framework, essential for pen testing, especially if you start out. There are multiple books there, and I have our own tutorial series created around, a mini series yet, I'm still working on it. That's revolving around Metasploit, which is always linked here. So I always linked the tools there, and if I have a tutorial on it or a link to a tutorial on it, it's linked right below that. So make sure to check out those tutorials. Next is Autosploit. I used it once, but it's a beginner-friendly script kiddie tool. It's a mass exploiter. As you see, it's automated. Check that out if you want to. I think it's very popular. It got a lot of traction in the past few months. But as I said, I didn't use that specifically. I just thought it's good to list it here for beginners. Network vulnerability scanner OpenVAS is great. It's a great open source vulnerability scanner. I use it personally very often, and I also have a tutorial on that. Next is web vulnerability scanner. But before we get to the next point, I have to do my YouTube pitch. Guys, if you like this video, if you like this content that I produce for free here, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I just found out today 95% of the viewers that actually watch videos on my channel are not subscribed. That's only 5% subscribers that are subscribed, obviously. But please do subscribe. This is, as I said, this and YouTube is my only stream of income. So please do subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you will get notified about new videos, and I would highly appreciate it, because creating this content takes a lot of time. You cannot imagine how long this takes to put together, how the effect is on your head while you're still working a full-time job next to this, providing this free information. So please do that. Thanks guys, and continue. Web vulnerability scanner. Nikto is a very noisy web application vulnerability scanner. I use it regularly. I use it sometimes depending on the scenario. Check it out for sure. WP Scan is a WordPress vulnerability scan. I use it very often because a lot of websites run WordPress. I have tutorial on that, I think multiple maybe. Next is network tools. Sparta is a network infrastructure scanning and enumeration tool with a graphical GUI, very nice for beginners too. And then we have the printer exploit toolkit. It's a good tool for checking printer security. Routersploit is very nice. It's similar to Metasploit, and it can test routers and embedded devices for vulnerabilities. THC Hydra, of course, is a very popular online password cracking tool and supports a lot of different protocols like HTTP, SMB, FTP, and many more. Then we have network reconnaissance tools. Nmap. I'm just on creating a nice tutorial series on Nmap. Make sure to check that out. It's on the website and on YouTube. There will be a couple of tutorials around that. Then we have ZenMap, which is basically Nmap with a GUI, but most of the time, honestly, you will use the command line Nmap tool for the sake of speed. DNS map is a passive DNS network mapper. Then we have Linux tools. This I use very often. Unix priv escalation checker that checks for privilege escalation possibilities, hard word, on Unix. And next we have OSINT tools. Multigo is a open source intelligence and forensics tool. I use it rarely, though, because my scenarios mostly don't need something like this. It's a very nice tool though, very useful. Then we have Shodan, which is a search engine for IoT devices. You can use Shodan within Metasploit. There's a module for that you can connect it with the API. Very nice. Small tutorial on there. Very useful if you are doing OSINT for companies that you just got a contract to and you want to find out as much as possible about the company. Then ReconNG is a web reconnaissance framework, which is awesome. I love ReconNG. It's a very good tool. It's also a whole framework and relatively easy to use if you read a tutorial or two on that. I also will create a tutorial on ReconNG. Tools to stay anonymous online. Tor, obviously, you should know that. Check this out. Definitely worthy checking out. And on the Parrot OS there is a Tor option, so you can surf anonymously by the click of a button. All your traffic will get routed through a tunnel in Tor. A VPN, always use a VPN, of course. I have a comparison here, and I personally use NordVPN. I like it. There's an affiliate link, I think, in this tutorial to NordVPN. If you consider buying NordVPN over my website, you get a huge discount on the 3-year deal, I believe. Click on it, check it out. If you like it, buy it. It's a good company. They don't have logs, they don't have server logs, they have kill switch, and it's a good performance. Okay, next, protocol analyzer and sniffer. And I hope, guys, I don't talk too fast, but I want to keep this video as short as possible while still covering all the information that is there. Protocol analyzer and sniffer, we have Wireshark, the most popular network protocol analyzer out there. I have a small tutorial on that, but we'll create maybe more if I can get to it. Wireless network tools, probably very interesting for most of you guys. AirCrackNG, the most popular wireless auditing tool. Riva, brute forcing tool. Wi-Fi, an automated wireless attack. Fluxion, automated wireless auditing tool. I really like Fluxion and Airgaddon. Those are both automated wireless auditing tools, which are very easy to use. So if you're a beginner, check those two out. And finally, Bully, a WPS brute force attacker. Next thing, basically wireless network testing is a whole another topic on itself. Very many people are interested in that, so I will create a few tutorial series around this as well. Then we have web exploitation. The OWASP ZAP proxy is a very useful HTTP interception proxy and fuzzer for web application testing. So if you do web application security, you will not get around OWASP ZAP. And the same goes for Burpsuit, a web application security testing platform. Very nice tool. I really like it. Tutorial on that is here. And there is also Beef, which is a web browser exploitation framework where you can hook a browser and do cross-site scripting attacks. Sorry, I didn't talk so much in a row, very long. Yeah, check this out too if you do web application testing. Hash cracking, John the Ripper, a fast password cracker. I really like John the Ripper. I think I have a tutorial there, I need to link it. Hashcat, fast hash cracking tool. That's all it says. Basically, you use it depending on what you work for, but for password cracking, Hashcat is very, very often used. Cool is a word list generator. Word list is also a whole topic by itself, which I will eventually cover if I get around to it again. Doing all these tutorials myself takes a lot of time. And as it says here, this should keep you busy for a good while, which is the truth, because until you checked out all of these tools, there are years passing probably, but you have at least a good list. And as I said before, guys, this list here, basically a whole article, make sure to really bookmark it, because those tutorials, they will pop up more and more and more. Same like this. I already created the second part of the Nmap tutorial series, which will be linked right below, right after this video. I will link it there. A very good way to stay up to date with my content is going to reddit.com/r/cosec, where I always put new articles as they are released, and also videos. You can see there are all the links to the articles and to the videos. And if you subscribed here, then you can hit the subscribe button. You need an account, obviously, and then you will directly see when there is a new article just by going to Reddit. Or of course, just check out the website. They are in the blog roll there as well. The last thing we want to talk about, of course, are book recommendations again. The Hacker's Playbook, if you like books. So the Hacker's Playbook is an awesome book. I personally read the second edition. I started the third one, but I didn't finish it yet. But it's equally good like the second edition. It's a great book. You just should work through this whole book. It's a awesome source of information when you get started with cybersecurity. Then RTFM is it's not the Read Team Field Manual. I need to change it right now. It's the Red Team Field Manual, which is a compendium of, I have it somewhere maybe. It's probably somewhere else. I usually have it next to me when I'm on assignment, because it's a collection of hacking tools and commands that you regularly use for scanning, for exploiting, Wi-Fi testing and stuff like this. Really nice book. The BTFM is the Blue Team Field Manual, which is a book basically the same like the RTFM, but more on the defensive side of things. So if you are a system administrator and you need to defend against a hacking attack, there are the most useful techniques in there, and it's also a good book. Then Metasploit, the Penetration Tester's Guide, highly recommended by many people, and Ghost in the Wire, some we want to call it a biography, I don't know. But it's from Kevin Mitnick, arguably one of the most famous hackers of all time. It's not a hacking book per se as I write it here, but it's an interesting insight of how hackers think and how they get thrilled by breaking into systems. All of the story takes place far back in the time when telephone phreaking still was a thing and stuff like this. So it's really fun to read. That's more for your entertainment and keep you motivated to hack, because you learn why people get such a kick out of hacking systems and how hackers actually think. It's a really good book. I really enjoyed reading this. Actually, I want to read it again, I think. Conclusion. Yeah, there is not much to say. I said a lot already. What can we do? Check back to the article. Check back to my YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Whitelist me on your ad blocker, blah, 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 again. And I also want to say a little disclaimer that, not that this, just because I read disclaimer here, that there are affiliate links in this article, obviously, but disclaimer, a hacking disclaimer. If you practice those skills, and all of the stuff I do is just for educational purposes only, and I have that written everywhere. I have it on the disclaimer on my website, and the disclaimer on YouTube. I only produce content for educational purposes, that you can learn how to defend your system better. I am not a black hat hacker, so I'm not doing illegal stuff. I just want make people aware of how they can protect their own network and defend it against hacking attacks, and of course for offensive security professionals who are white hat hackers, ethical hackers who break into systems on a paid contract to show companies what their security flaws are. So take that into consideration. Don't do stupid shit with this information that you find in this guide, because you eventually will either end up with a very, very high financial bill from a lawyer, from a company, or you might end up in jail. So take this to heart, practice only in your own laboratory environment, and make sure to stay safe and don't do shit without thinking of it thoroughly before, because cybercrime is a big thing nowadays, and there are a lot of institutions that will protect companies and even websites, hosters. They have intrusion detection systems in there that will eventually trace back your IP to your home, and somebody from the police will show up on the front of your door if you do something illegal. So make sure to use your brain. Okay guys, this is a lot of content. It might be the longest video I ever produced, but I thought there is a need to explain what this article actually is, or this guide. It's not an article, it's a guide. And as I said, I would highly appreciate, guys, if you just subscribe to my YouTube channel if you love this video. And I continuously produce content for you. And I hope to see you back in the next video, and I really hope you can make your career change happen. It's possible, guys. If you work in a service desk or whatever, you don't have to be stuck there. Just don't be lazy, learn things, use every single minute of free time you have to learn cybersecurity, learn Linux, learn advanced system administration techniques, stuff like this. You will get out of there. I believe in you. And you can do it. See you back in the next video, and thanks a lot for your patience. Thanks a lot for watching. See you guys.